the guy was legitimately strong. But the interesting thing about Brad is you look at some, especially his earlier videos, he had training partners. They were just totally normal kids. Like he's bench pressing 5 plates, and they're looking, to get 185 for just as many reps. So he was the quintessential example of the guy with just tremendous genetics, obviously probably using some stuff. He just blasted past everybody. So realize that you're probably going to be Brad's training partner. You're not going to be Brad. Let's say you're someone who wants to go to the dark side and they're in this position. The other, aside from going to your site and listening to all your videos 2 or 3 times, reading your articles, that sort of thing. I would also say look at your family history if you possibly can. Some people are adopted, they don't know, but see what happens. Do you have a family history of prostate cancer? I do, for instance. My dad had cancer. Prostate, we don't know exactly what got him. It was the chemo that got him, actually, but he had prostate cancer. So that's something I paid attention to. Where's your family history at? What things you're likely to come down with, possibly. And then here's the thing. Basically assume that everyone you see on social media is on gear, right? And that they have good genetics. Unless like their niche is to say, I don't have good genetics. Sometimes that could be kind of a thing. There's a psychological twist that you can hook people with that, I think, too.
It's most of the educators don't have good genetics. That's why we don't know so much.
Yeah,
we have to learn. We have to learn the hard way just to attain a little bit of muscle tissue. And it's, I think, if you look at most of the educators, it's not about our physique. It's about training hard and sharing knowledge and preventing people from making the same mistakes. Because I made plenty of mistakes trying to get super big. When in reality, my body doesn't want to be super big. It just wants to be 100 kilos, 225 pounds. That's sustainable. But anything over that is just. Yeah, it's still pretty big. Yeah, that's what the people told me when I went to the Mr. Olympia. Steve, you're much bigger than we thought you would be. I said, well, I have been training for 25 years.
Right. But in accordance with that is that the first year is it's gonna tell you what your genetics are. You're gonna know whether you're gonna be someone who it would ever make sense to do the gear. And so consider that, like, your genetics are more than likely they're somewhere around average. If you're like, what was this guy's name? Brad Castleberry. You remember Brad Castleberry?
Oh yeah. He just lived with fake weights, right? Yeah,
I think he was accused of that, but Dante Trudell knew him personally. So they're from the same area of of California. And he talked to him a couple times, and the guy was legitimately strong. But the interesting thing about Brad is you look at some, especially his earlier videos, he had training partners. They were just totally normal kids. Like he's bench pressing 5 plates, and they're looking, to get 185 for just as many reps.
Yeah.
So he was the quintessential example of the guy with just tremendous genetics, obviously probably using some stuff. He just blasted past everybody. So realize that's who you are, that you're probably going to be Brad's training partner. You're not going to be Brad. Chances it's very, very likely.
But this happens with a lot of guys on social media, right? The entire group of bros, right, gym buddies, they all decide to go on PEDs, and one of those guys, like 1 in 100, he will go somewhere doing everything wrong, but his genetic response is so great that on social media he blows up because he looks good, and he just stays leaner than everybody else. He's stronger than everybody else. And with the limited information that they have, they just get popular super fast, especially now that everybody's marketing themselves on social media. And those guys just exceeded everything. And then when they start doing it right, they turn pro. And then when they get with a real good coach, then they get, the top of the Mr. Olympia or the 212 or the whatever, right? The classic physique Olympia. Because, you see with Chris Bumstead, even the last 2 years under Haney Rambout's guidance, stellar improvement.
Yeah.
But he's also one of those kids, when he first started touching something, he would just explode and look better than everybody else. He already looked better than everybody else not taking anything.
I know.
And that's why he's, one of the, I think he's, Chris Bumstead is one of the figures, the forefront figures of the fitness industry now. 18 million followers.
Yeah. He has 18 million now. Yeah. He's the man, right? Everyone wants to be Chris, right?
Everybody wants to be Chris, and everybody wants to be with Chris.
I'm glad he's a smart guy. I'm glad he's a smart guy. Yeah, seems like he's a good dude. But not everyone's gonna be him. You just gotta kind of realize that.
But they all want to be him. Yeah, they all want to be him, and they all want to take something at 18 years old. and then get the supplement contract and be Mr. Classic Physique.
Yeah.
That's what's so hard to drill into these kids. Like, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, even Urs Kelsinski and Wesley Vissers and Ramon Dino, they're close, but they're not there yet. And that's already the most elite of the elite.
Yeah. The way I kind of framed, I grew up kind of in a small town, like 35,000. And everybody knew everybody. And there were a couple kids that everyone kind of knew were on gear in high school. One guy was big. He literally was only like 200 pounds, but he just looked like he was just like crazy big.
Right. And at that time, your perception of what's really big is a lot smaller.
Right.
Until you meet the pros and you're like, oh, that's big.
Yeah. There's a whole other world. That's the thing I think a lot of times is people have never, there are people that are sort of stepping forward as like they're being vets online. This was true in the muscle board, on the muscle days of the bodybuilding boards, the bulletin boards, and I think true of Instagram, who don't even go to shows, who haven't even been to shows. They don't know what pros look like. They're some of not the coaches, but there are lots of guys, that just talk. They don't go to the shows. They don't really know what it's like to work with, to see some of these big guys and to know what kind of genetic response they have. But my thought is that our brains are they're not really, evolutionarily speaking, we're not really wired to have the perspective of what really is going on. The world is so small. So normally it would make sense, like if you got a bunch of people, like let's say you're in a tribe, a group of people, and everyone's going to have pretty similar genetics. There's going to be some variability. So if you do what your older brother's best friend does, chances are you could get something like close to what he got out of whatever he's doing. But nowadays, the variability amongst human beings is all over the place. That's not true at all. You may not have anywhere near the ability to grow and become like that person. But your brain can't tease apart what you're seeing on Instagram, because that's telling your brain, I think unconsciously, what the normal world is like. And it's not. It's cream of the crop. Not even close.
Exactly, yeah. I realized this recently, even like I've been off cycle for 6 months, 7 months, and then you look in the mirror, you're not happy with your body composition or your muscularity. Just you look in the mirror, you're like, ugh, this sucks. Yeah. You don't even want to stand in front of the mirror. I went to the swimming park with my wife. And my wife's been retired for 5 years, so she's a little bit, not as muscular, not as lean as she used to be, right? So she's enjoying her retirement, and I'm off everything for a long time, and we go to the water park, and we're the best looking couple there.
Superstars, yeah.
Superstars. People want to take pictures with me, and I'm like, dude, I'm just like the worst shape I've had in years. Why would you want to take pictures?
It's gonna get out on the internet too. You're like, shit. Like,
I can't have this. Like, everybody will unfollow me. But then when you realize you go into general population, or even just in most gyms, you're still one of the biggest dudes. Even when you feel the most horrible. And I think as you get older, you start to realize that it is okay to be a little bit softer and off cycle and not as strong and, maybe not as apparent on social media physically. But when you're younger, I mean, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Being, the biggest and the best looking guy, at every party, basically, or wherever you go. And you love the attention that comes along with that, of course. I think it's very hard to be a kid nowadays. A lot of pressure, a lot of stuff that we didn't have to deal with. We'd have the camaraderie in the gyms. I feel that some of that camaraderie is lost now, traveling around. And even though when I went to Mr. Olympia, and I went to Flex Lewis's gym and some of the other gyms there, and then some of the gyms in LA, everybody's very excited in the fitness industry, but that's also around Olympia time. So I'm not exactly sure if that's a right representation of what it is the rest of the year, when not everybody's flying in and not everybody's excited about the Olympia, not everybody's in shape and looking good, because let's be honest, everybody prepares for the Olympia to a certain extent. Like, I want to be in shape for the Mr. Olympia too.
Right. Yeah.
I've been meeting a lot of people that watch the YouTube channel, so that's why.
Of course. Yeah. You can't get out-angled by anybody, right?
I'm sure this year I'll get out-angled, especially by Chase Irons. He's been on that mega cycle.
Yeah.
And Paul Burnett, and then everybody else that's coming, it doesn't really matter to me anyway. I know I'm doing it for a higher purpose.
Right.
But still, you want to be lean and have some shreds going on.
Yeah.